Hello and welcome to the Imaging Wire Show. My name is Brian Casey. I'm managing editor of the Imaging Wire. Got a great episode for you today. We're going to be talking to executives from Altamont Software. And we've got with us Chris Barnett. He's president of the company, and Brian Cavanaugh, chairman of the firm. Brian and Chris, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Brian. We're really excited to be here. Big fans of the Imaging Wire and all the work you folks have been doing.
Yeah, great. Hey, Brian, thanks for having us.
You bet. It's our pleasure. So let's do some introductions first. Chris, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Yeah, we've been in the medical imaging industry since the 90s. Large stint at PAX Gear, which a lot of folks may be familiar with, and been president of Altamont and co-founder since 2016 we started.
All right, awesome. Brian, how about you?
Yeah, no. So Chris and I have been stuck together since we were kids. We were summer hires at the same company way back when. So I've been working together forever. At my heart, I'm an engineer. Chris and I have run companies over the years, but I really enjoy the tech side. So, at Altamont, it's given me a chance to do more of the tech engineering stuff.
Awesome. Well, let's dive a little bit more into Altamont and your origins and what you guys do. Chris, can you tell us a little bit about the company's history and what you're focusing on?
Absolutely. Our roots go all the way back to the early 90s, back to the first DICOM demonstration back at Arsene, and just trying to get images back and forth back in those days. And some people call us, connectivity people, plumbers, in a sense. A lot of people jokingly say. Um, and that kind of led us to founding PAX Gear in the early 2000s. And that started with a problem of just radiologists still reading studies and scrambling for paper. So we came up with a product called PackScan that allowed technologists to scan in that paperwork. So it was right next to the imaging study. And that was very popular, got into over half the hospitals in the country. We had several other applications, including ModLink, which was one of the first products to actually get measurements straight into reporting systems and autofill those for radiologists to make them more efficient. So we got back together, got the band back together in 2016 and formed Altamont with the goal of taking all these disconnected imaging applications and get them all into a single modern platform that IT companies expect, with the single sign-on, single audits, all the things you expect. And it also reduced all the number of vendors, that way you have one cohesive platform. And that's really progressed well. We're at the point now where we that platform can do document scanning, it can do media creation. We're working a lot with EHRs to launch us and capture images, video, and get that connected up to the EHR. Also, a big focus of the company has been on structured reporting, taking those measurements from the modalities and autofilling those reports, making radiologists much more efficient. And that's really been popular. And so overall, the platform, we're happy to say, is we're up over 500 installs, really doing well and continue to grow.
Oh, that's awesome. But Brian, what do you see as some of the key problems that face radiology with today's IT solutions? Because we've come so far, as you guys know, kind of been there almost from the beginning.
Mhm.
We've come so far in making things easier, but in a way, we've kind of also made things more complicated, haven't we?
Oh, absolutely. I think, you hit the nail on the head about it's the environment hasn't changed that much. So problems we heard 30 years ago, we hear today, like radiologist shortage, for example. Everybody's talking about you can't find a radiologist. Increased volumes, decreased reimbursement. That's kind of the mantra every year at RSNA. Everybody complains about that. So I think we see a lot of that. With technology, you talked about making it harder. We saw over the last probably 10, 12 years, uh, all the IT resources in most hospitals are kind of focused on getting their EHR up and running. And so that's been a kind of a huge distraction for the imaging technology. It's kind of been neglected a little bit. And so we see, that there's projects that just never got funded because, Epic or Cerner efforts were just so all encompassing. And then a new topic we've seen, or a new problem, is there's a tech shortage. For the first time, we don't have enough rads, but now we don't have enough techs. So technologists can write their own ticket at any time they want a job. We're not having enough, people graduate, and so there's a real tech shortage, and I think that's one of the crises in radiology today.
How does the Altamont platform address some of these problems that we're seeing?
Yeah, so on the radiologist side, we want to try to make the radiologist more efficient, right? And you watch a radiologist read, and then there's a lot of dictation of measurements, right? Especially in ultrasound. It's kind of a waste for a radiologist to sit and read numbers all day. And so anytime there's a measurement or a calculation or something that's done on a modality somewhere, we want to find a way to get that into the radiology report automatically and save the radiologist that step. And so our Passport product does that. It gateways all these measurements and things and make sure they're in the report in the right place, in the right format, so that the radiologist can be much, much more efficient when creating reports. And so that's a key, I think, is allow them to read faster.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, Chris, what are some of the radiology reporting has become huge, and there's been some pretty big developments in that space that have kind of opened it up a little bit for other companies offering reporting solutions. What are
Yeah.
some of the latest trends that you see in reporting, and what do you think of the move to AI powered reporting?
No, that you see it everywhere. You get on LinkedIn, you see ads from all the companies, you see it in your articles. Everybody's talking about generative AI reporting. It's really just what we already touched on, that shortage of radiologists and the increasing volumes. How do you handle it? And generative AI, everybody's looking towards to really help with that. You know, but there's still that drive. They want to maintain the quality and those turnaround times they want to really crank out. Um, and everybody's looking to generative AI. And you can see that excitement. You see a lot of new vendors coming into the area. And you see the older vendors trying to up their game as well to add that generative AI. And the fun thing is, Altamont works with all these established and the new vendors, and we're on the front lines. They're working with these companies, trying to provide them clean data, get them that data because it needs to be reliable. Because AI is really, that generative AI is only as good as the data coming in. If they don't have reliable, clean data, consistent data, it affects the AI. Essentially, it's kind of garbage in, garbage out, right? If you're not getting that consistent data, AI is not going to work well for you.
Yeah.
So ultimately, the healthcare organizations want trustworthy AI generated reporting that they first need trusted clinical data feeding it. That's where Ultimate comes in.
What are some of the features that the Altamont platform would offer to somebody with using reporting software? Like, how would they interface there?
Yeah, I think the key is uh, we provide a gateway, no matter where the data is, whether it's on a modality, whether it's coming from an AI algorithm, maybe it's on your EHR. And so we have this engine. It's like an integration engine that provides kind of the gateway to the reporting system. And then also, surprisingly, if you look at like the modality vendors, I don't know what happened back when they started doing ultrasound, but they never agreed on like units, for example, right? Sometimes you measure in centimeters on a Siemens and millimeters on a Philips. I was going to say, I'm not sure if that's true, but like we see it where
The metrics are different. Yeah.
it's just not standardized.
Yeah.
Sometimes a modality will put out 6 digits after the decimal, and some will put out two. And so our job is not only to pass data, but to normalize data. So when you have multimodality implementations, we make sure the data is all similar, as far as units and digits and those type of things. So we're kind of the key gateway. You remember back in the day, like HL7, everybody had a copy of Cloverleaf, right? Or
Yeah.
you couldn't run a hospital without a copy of Cloverleaf somewhere. And I think, we are becoming the standard for like SR for that application. Any kind of measurement data or any kind of data that needs to go into a report, we're providing the universal integration engine for that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Our
Chris.
goal is to take that data and put it in the format the radiologist would dictate it in. So it's consistent data going in. And also our goal is Anywhere where you can find data and they're sitting there dictating it, we want to squash that, eliminate it, and make that autofilled directly in the format they want it, the way they want it, they would have dictated it.
That makes
Mhm.
sense. Now, Brian, earlier you mentioned radiologic technologists. Do you think RTs are going to seek benefits from a facility that adopts your technology?
We do. We've been calling the radiology tech kind of the orphan stepchild and the department. They're asked to do more scans on more patients with less time. And then in order to help the radiologists who are often behind, the techs are often going to the dictation system and entering values for the rats, right, to save them time. And so our technology certainly helps the techs out a lot. We have an electronic forms module that replaces the paperwork in a radiology department. Surprisingly, especially in ultrasound, you see a lot of paper. You see flow sheets and tech forms and things, and we see ultrasound techs having to look at a scanner and then write down specific numbers that the radiologists are going to need, and then they have to walk over to a paper scanner and scan that form in, and then the radiologist dictates those numbers. And so, to your question, trying to save the tech time. We have electronic forms where you can fill in numbers, or hopefully they get filled in for the modality with an integration with that. And then there's things that the modality doesn't pass in that the tech might add, like tech comments. There's pull downs and check boxes and things that they might want to check. And then ultimately that stuff goes directly into the report. So yeah, it's trying to get the tech away from paper is kind of a key effort for the company to save them time and make them more effective.
So to Chris, earlier you mentioned AI adoption and AI is becoming so important in radiology. How does AI adoption by providers and some of these algorithms that are coming out from vendors, how do they fit into Altamont's platform and your future strategy?
That's a great question, Brian. A couple years ago, we saw a lot of talk of AI, but not a lot in the field. We weren't integrating that much AI, but today it's really changed. Um, the AI algorithms are out there in force. They're generating a tremendous amount of data, important clinical data, and a lot of people are leaning on us to integrate that data. And it's important to integrate it properly because right now, a lot of that data coming out of those AI algorithms are just tremendous amounts. It can be information overload to the radiologist. It can even slow them down. And that's where we come in. We see our role to be able to extract and organize that data and get it into the report so it's useful to the radiologist, so it doesn't slow them down. Um, and that's important. People look to us. One thing we didn't touch on earlier is our ability to easily map data. A lot of people early on, it was tough to map. It wasn't consistent, but our engine allows people to really point click, make it simple to map. Um, so it works really well with AI algorithms, be able to organize, get that data. And in the data, radiologists don't need more data. They need the right information delivered in a simple, useful, efficient way so it doesn't slow them down.
Yeah, one more point, Brian, too. Like, because the AI vendors are focused on the algorithm, all these brilliant PhDs are out there building some very, very cool algorithms. But to be honest, they're not DICOM guys, right? They're not great at passing data. Maybe they're new to DICOM. And so we see a lot of DICOM coming out of AI algorithms that's not perfect. And so we often, have to tweak our system, our platform to handle stuff that's not quite perfect. And in fact, a couple times we've helped AI companies clean up their DICOM and make it a little more compliant. So that's another thing too, is as AI just takes off, the focus is the algorithm and not the connectivity. And so we try to help those companies solve that problem.
All right, very good. That makes sense. Now, we have in just a couple weeks the annual meeting of the Society for Imaging Informatics in Medicine, SIM 2026. And that's going to be in Pittsburgh. I understand that Altamont Software will be exhibiting. What can we look forward to seeing from you guys?
Yeah, we're looking forward to Sam. And it's back in Pittsburgh. We were just there, I don't know, 10 years ago. So
Yeah.
looking forward to the show. Our big push again is trying to stop radiologists from dictating numbers. We've made a lot of inroads in trying to solve the DEXA problem. DEXA is kind of a complicated format, and we see that there's still a lot of radiologists dictating DEXA numbers. And so by providing our technology to gateway the DEXA numbers into the report, radiologists are seeing, 50, 60% time savings in reading DEXAs, which is a game changer. That's a big number. And so we're excited about that and share some of those success stories with our customers about DEXA. We're working more and more with what we call our dynamic content engine. We'll be demonstrating that as well, which not only takes static values from ultrasound or other modalities, but does also complex calculations. We can script, different type of technology to make the values coming out of the ultrasound, not only just the static values, but also maybe a paragraph or a small sentence about like what the numbers mean. Again, saving radiologists time. Excuse me. So we're looking forward to them and sharing, some of those technologies with our customer base.
All right, very good. Should be a great show. Well, Chris Barnett and Brian Cavanaugh of Altamont Software, thanks so much for being with us today. I really enjoyed the discussion.
Thank you, Brian.
Good. Yeah. Good talking to you, Brian. Thanks.
Mhm. All right, signing off for the Imaging Wire. My name is Brian Casey.